Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Breakfast Trades. Today, we're going to talk about candlesticks. Very simple, right? On the chart, tons of candlesticks, but a lot of people don't really know what they mean, or they don't use them properly, or they don't understand that there's confirmations involved when using candlesticks. And I hope you guys learned something from this. It's going to be really basic at first, and then we'll advance a little bit later on. Leverage trading is obviously a big talk on Twitter as well, you guys. If you are wanting to leverage trade and you don't know how, I have some series on my YouTube that you can check out, my playlist. Not only that, if you go to Bingbon, link will be down below. If you go on Bingbon, they actually load your account with VST, which is virtual USDT basically. So you can trade and practice leverage trading with that risk-free. It's not real money. But it's really nice because they load it on there and it acts just like real USDT on the exchange. So if you want to try that, check it out below. There will be a link there, and hope you guys enjoy this video. All right, you guys, let's get into it. So these are all candlesticks on a chart. Now, obviously, they're usually red and green. I've always been told to change the colors because you see red, it can make you kind of panic or bring emotions. You see green, it can bring other emotions. So I prefer to have them a different color. I also like the background to be black. Much easier to look at. All right, so here is kind of what you want to look for is trend reversal candles, okay? So I see a trend reversal candle here. We'll kind of talk about these in a second. All right, that one reverse trend. I see another one here that's similar but opposite. All right, and another one that's pretty similar over here. Those are kind of the three that just stick out to me immediately when I look at this chart. And kind of another one here. That's basically a giant hammer. Okay. So let's look at this. You guys know what this is? This is a shooting star doji, gravestone doji, whatever you want to call it. I like to call it a gravestone. I think tombstone people call it as well. But this is basically a trend reversal to the downside. So you have a nice little uptrend, and then you have price push up here. And remember, this is a 4-hour chart, you guys. So you're going to see price push up here and on the 4-hour, and this is going to look like a super mega bullish green candle, right? Well, not right, because inside that inside that 4 hours, you're going to see price get pushed down, rejection at resistance, and now this becomes a reversal candle. All right, simple enough, right? Short that, make money. If only it was that easy, okay? So a lot of people get caught shorting this, and price goes against them, and they get stopped out, and then it drops. So what do we do, right? Well, as long as price does not close above here, right? As long as I do not get a 4-hour close on the chart above this wick, this short or this rejection candle is still valid. So had this candle broken up here, closed above, this would be invalidated, and we would likely go higher. Since it was not, you can see we rejected and we went lower now. All right. Now, I do like to see these rejection candles with higher volume. All right. When they have higher volume, that makes me usually feel a little bit better about them. You could see this one worked out regardless, but you could see this one here, super high volume. That's what I like to see. Okay. So that would be a Dragonfly doji. All right, and Dragonfly dojis are going to be basically the opposite. They're going to be at the bottom of a downtrend. All right, you could see that we've got this nice super high volume candle here. Price dropped down below here, and this was a very red, big candle, very scary looking at the time, and buyers bought this back up. We held the base of this candle, and we pushed up here. All right, it's pretty simple stuff. If you just really zoom out and look at this, unobjectively, you could see a very high volume support hold here, which is very likely to push us up higher, okay, and be the bottom of that trend for the time being. Now, how do I invalidate that? Well, if price wanted to push down here anywhere and then get bought back up and continue higher, then we're still valid. As long as we don't close below here, that would be my invalidation point. All right, so you always have to look at the candle for what it is, and then look at the next candle for validating or invalidating it. All right. Now, you can go to lower time frames to see how the lower time frames looked to see if this candle will hold and you think the support will hold and will push. All right, but that's for another video. And again here, basically a shooting star doji, gravestone doji. And then we have a big rejection candle here, which actually turns this into a evening star pattern. All right, and we'll look at all these patterns real quick I have them saved up here. But basically what you're gonna see is you're gonna see a big green candle, followed by a rejection candle or a doji. You're gonna want usually a small body here. It's gonna be very tight, a lot of indecision. And the next candle is gonna confirm this by a drop off, right? So once you get this drop off, you're going to consider this an evening star. And for the evening star to stay validated, I always put my invalidation point here at the base of this candle. All right, so if price went up here and retested, rejects and goes down, that would be valid. If price immediately comes up here and breaks above and closes above, I would consider that invalidated. All right, so pretty simple stuff there. This obviously is a candle with a very long lower wick, and we would consider that a hammer. All right, now when you see a long lower wick like that, it's very unlikely that that's going to just drop immediately right after. All right, you can see we had stop hunts and all that stuff, but we never closed below any of these wicks down here. We never saw a candle close below any of these wicks to help validate this scenario. You can see here we did have a high volume, right, Dragonfly doji, which also held here. It faked out and it came back above and it tried to push, but then you can see it broke down here, invalidated for now, and then you need to look at further validation. Now, I'm not going to go too in depth with all the candlestick patterns. If you do want to learn more about candlesticks, you can actually go to my Intro to Trading Crypto series. I'll pop a card up top that you can look at for that. If you want to learn more, it's very, very in depth about candlesticks, a lot more than this one will be. So you guys can see here, this is picture perfect gravestone doji. All right, you get an uptrend, a push up, a lot of trap buyers now when this pushes back down, and then price continues to go lower. All right, multiple rejections. Very good to see this if you are shorting or selling. Dragonfly doji, again, basically the same thing. You're going to see sellers push us down. This is where you get a lot of panic sellers, people shorting the bottom. Price rapidly comes up and then continues on its way to the upside. Evening star doji is one of my favorites to trade. I like to see a big green candle followed by a doji or a rejection candle, and then another big bodied red candle here to see this play out, and then rejection on any of these retests up here at resistance. Now, I do like to see volume. I like to see a high volume red candle here. This one can be green or red. It doesn't really matter. You just want to see a small body there. But when you get a big green followed by an indecision candle and then a big red, it usually is an evening star, and you'll see some sort of pullback after that, more times than not. Morning star pattern here, you guys. Basically the same thing. You're going to see a big red candle followed by a doji or a dragonfly doji. And then you're going to see a big green candle, hopefully on higher volume, and that's going to start a new trend for you. So basically what you would want to see there is anything that would dip back to here wouldn't close below that invalidation point. So I like to call this trading made simple. Don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. A lot of people have all these fancy indicators and things, which is fine. But if you just look at simple price action and we just look at dragonfly dojis, let's say, you could see here we have a drop, a dragonfly doji, and price goes up after that. So you guys, I just like to keep things simple. Don't make it more difficult than it has to be. Obviously, it's not just as simple as looking at candlesticks and trading, but if you just zoom out and you look at important areas, you can see a rejection here, all right, gravestone doji. We have another one over here, which actually ends up being kind of like an evening star. You get your push up, your doji, and then your big red candle on increased volume. And you can see price sells off with a gravestone doji rejection here on the way down. And then if we just look down here at the bottom of these trends, you can see a hammer or a dragonfly doji, pretty much the same thing here. Another dragonfly doji here. Okay. So we have a couple of them. We have another one here on the downtrend. So you see that these candles end up usually being in places of interest where trend reversals happen. Now, I do want to reiterate that I only use trend reversal candles on the way down. So if price is going up, I'm not going to consider this a Dragonfly doji, all right, because it's not at the bottom of a downtrend. So keep that in mind. That would actually end up potentially being a hanging man candle, which you can learn about in my other video that I mentioned earlier, or we can cover that on another video. Bam! Candlesticks! Yeah!